What's good? Back again with another reaction to this video. We're gonna be getting into the story of Tay-K, doomed at birth. Bro, dog's getting hit with the buck. I ain't gonna lie. He's getting the buck thrown at him. But it's while we watching and reacting to this video. Shout out 1090 Jake, original video, link in the description as always. You know what I'm saying? I encourage y'all to go check him out. Check out the original channel. Hopefully y'all got your ready because today is 422. Because it's also 422. You heard me? Listen to that, replay that, re-listen to that again. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, hopefully you got your ready. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, call your homegirls, and hopefully you call your homeboy up, you know what I'm saying? Because I know your main dude's out of town. To the homies out there, I know your main girl's out of town, so you call your homegirl side, you know what I'm saying? You say, what's up, bro? She's gonna buy over here, you know what I'm saying? Bring some tacos. You feel me? Let's get on with this video. Let's check it out. See what's up.
When it comes to crash outs, few can compare to the one and only Tay-K, who not only crashed the GOAT, he did the race. Just recently, the 24-year-old was sentenced to forever.
Bro's only 24? He has an egg-ass shaped head. Bro's only 24 though? That's crazy.
Well, not literally. But by the time he's eligible for parole, he'll either be dead or close to it. And in this video, we're going to break down Tay-K's infamous case, along with the series of unfortunate events that left a 16-year-old in a cell responsible for 2 murders. Kevin Beverly, who went by the name KD, was a Compton Crip, while Jolena McIntyre, who went by the name Nina, was a Long Beach Crip. The two would meet in high school in the early 90s, and in the year 2000 would have a baby named Tamor McIntyre, who would later be known as Tay-K. His father would wind up in prison, while his mother was in and out of jail struggling with addiction. Tay-K would grow up in and out of foster care.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's an average ass Cali story because this shit was huge back then, bro.
Where he'd suffer abuse along with his siblings.
Yeah, nah, what I meant to say is that goes on a lot in Cali, bro. Anywhere basically, and whenever there's poverty and all that, you have parents like that one does a little too much and the other one's probably locked up facing football years, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
He'd be returned to his mother, only to be taken away again as she went back to jail. This cycle would continue as Tay-K moved from Long Beach, California to Las Vegas, Nevada. His mother would be arrested again, finding herself in a new jail, while Tay-K in a new home. It wasn't until his father's release from prison that his father would move the family down to Arlington, Texas. Reunited with his father and
shout out Texas, you know what I'm saying?
To a more suburban environment, you'd think Tay-K would finally have a chance to thrive now that his family was back together. But by now, Tay-K was claiming his mother's set, Baby Insane Crip. Tay-K wasn't old enough to have been put onto the set in Long Beach, meaning he wasn't officially jumped in. But who could tell Tay-K he wasn't official? He came from a Crip family, with both parents still actively banging. In Texas, Tay-K would take up an interest in music before finding himself wanting to become a rapper. Tay-K would become a member of Daytona Boys, a rap group with his 2 friends, Eric Johnson, who went by the name Santana Sage, and Jalen Bell, who went by the name Pimpies. Building up a local fan base, things took a
I ain't gonna lie, bro, that's a wild name, Pimpies.
Turn for the Daytona Boys in 2016. 20-year-old Sarah was the designated driver for her friends on New Year's Eve. She attended the University of North Texas and was enrolled in the radio, television, and film program. Pulling up to a stoplight, another vehicle pulled up alongside hers. The other vehicle contained multiple males who began making derogatory comments to Sarah and the other females in her vehicle. A male in Sarah's car defended the females, and that's when gunshots rang out. Sarah was shot in the head, lost control of the vehicle, and hit another car before crashing into a pole. Tay-K, who was only 15 years old at the time, was later identified as being in the suspect vehicle. This would be the first murder he'd be connected to.
Damn, bro. Y'all out here smoking innocent ass girls, bro. Dog deserves to be locked up, I ain't gonna lie.
But he never faced charges.
Nah, but if he didn't do it, it just happened to, I mean, I get it, bro. If you're mobbing it, and you know what I'm saying, it's yeah, I don't know.
Instead, a 21-year-old Marine named Eric Johnson was taken into custody at his base and later arrested for killing Sarah.
This was senseless
What?
and tragic.
Yeah.
There are so many things Clay and Gloria Muchlechner could talk about right now.
Couldn't go to sleep. All I could think about was her and this just horrible thing that happened to her. She did not deserve this.
But they say Sarah would want them to smile. Hers was infectious.
She's never met a stranger. She was always nice to people. She would talk with them.
Just like her grandpa Bloss.
And no matter what, think of what they had, not what they lost.
We're all going to miss her. And some people don't get to have their kids 20 years, so we have to be blessed with what we've had with her, time spent.
Jurors found Eric.
I ain't gonna lie though, 20 years ain't that much, bro. But dog right here smoking a female just because they're talking smack, bro. It's like y'all need to be careful who y'all be kicking it with, bro. Y'all be kicking it with little crash shots like this that will get you in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Or you're associated, so you know what I'm saying?
Johnson guilty of shooting Sarah Muchlechner on New Year's Day back in 2016.
Damn.
The Denton County District Attorney confirmed on Twitter that Johnson will be eligible for parole based on the sentence after serving 22 years of the 44 I mentioned. The jury could have sent him to prison for life.
6 months later, Tay-K would make a decision that would forever alter his life. 17-year-old Zachary Bello and 21-year-old Ethan Walker were roommates in Mansfield, Texas.
Yeah.
Zach's girlfriend believed the two were selling drugs and decided to plan a robbery on her own boyfriend. Word would get to 16-year-old Tay-K.
Y'all need to be watching y'all girls, bro. She said it.
Who then recruited a team.
Especially the ones that want to be out there in the scene and in the streets and all that. Bruh, what?
To get the job done. 3 girls went to the house, all aware of what was about to happen.
Yeah.
As they spent time with the 2 roommates, they unlocked the doors to the house and the 4 robbers let themselves in. Over the next few minutes, Zach would be hit in the head with brass knuckles and shot in the shoulder, while Ethan was shot in the chest and left on the ground, gasping for air.
Damn.
Ethan would later die, and Zach knew he was set up by the girls because when the robbers walked in, the girls just got up and walked out, not even acting scared or surprised. But
That's
nobody
crazy.
planned for a double shooting or for Ethan to die. Police would quickly identify everyone involved, with Tay-K being arrested at only 16 for participating in the home invasion robbery turned murder. Released on house arrest, Tay-K would cut off his ankle monitor and go on the run. A month later, 23-year-old Mark Saldivar was shot and killed in a Chick-fil-A parking lot.
I ain't gonna lie. Dog needs to be locked up, or throw that key away.
New
What
on the
the
night
fuck?
beat, one man found dead in the middle of a parking lot of a North Side fast food restaurant following a shooting. As Pilar Arias reports tonight, police say the car the victim was riding in may also be the same vehicle the suspects took off in.
Oh.
The parking lot of a Chick-fil-A turned crime.
So they smoked him and then stole his vehicle? It's like some of y'all don't be thinking things all the way through. Y'all be living in the moment, bro. Y'all need to live and plan for the future. I get, yeah, you got one life and whoop whatever. Y'all need to start planning for the future, because if y'all plan on being behind bars, go ahead and do that. I encourage y'all to make money though, because this ain't the way, bro. Dog's right there fighting for his life behind bars, bro. You got sentenced to forever, bro. 80 years, I think.
The restaurant closed for business like it usually is on Sundays. But that didn't stop witnesses and spectators from gathering to figure out what happened at the lot just across from North Star Mall early this evening.
So this is a shopping center. There were quite a few people out here, and you know, the car drove through like everybody else, and as soon as they heard the noise, they all started looking.
Police now trying to find out how this all happened. Their sights set on a black four-door car. They say the victim was riding in the car along with several other people police are now looking for. They had pulled in here just before 5:30. As far as investigators know at this point, the man was shot outside the vehicle, but they don't know what made him want to get out.
Investigators would learn Tay-K and others picked up the photographer for a photo shoot at a local mall. While in the vehicle, Tay-K and one of the other suspects pulled out guns, pistol whipped Mark, and took his backpack containing his equipment. Mark was forced out of the car, tried to get back in, and desperately jumped on the hood. That's when Tay-K leaned out of the window and shot him dead. 2 months later, on June 30th, 2017, Tay-K would drop his infamous song The Race, and that same day, he'd be captured by US Marshals in New Jersey. Tay-K was now viral after dropping a song describing killing and being on the run, and going as far as showing his own wanted poster. The song would reach number 44 on the Hot 100 Billboard chart, and currently sits at 251 million views on YouTube. But Tay-K would never get to perform his hit song or experience anything from it. He'd only hear about it through jail calls and jail visits. Tay-K would eventually be found guilty for his role in the home invasion murder of Ethan Walker. While he wasn't the shooter, the fact that he recruited the shooter would leave him with a 55-year prison sentence. Fast forward to 2025.
Look at that gash on his face and on his neck, bro. Dog got $150.
Tay-K would be sentenced to an additional 80 years in prison for shooting and killing Mark.
Your punishment is to be assessed at 80 years in the prison. I don't know where your mom is. Don't know where your father is. I know that you had a rough childhood. And I do know that these offenses occurred when you were very young. And I do realize that while this is a lot of time, and I tell people all the time, any time that you do in custody is a lot of time. But by that same token, you're still alive. And what the state has said is true. You're still alive. You can still better yourself. If you end up in prison for the rest of your life, you're still alive. You still can improve yourself. Your family can still visit you. But the complainant in this...
That's true, but you're behind bars, you know what I'm saying? You don't get no snatch, you get no ass, bro. You can't tow. I'm talking about you can't eat steak if you wanted to. You can't have fun, have kids. You can't hit the beach. You can't, none of that, bro. You're always living with looking over your shoulder, sleeping with one eye open for the rest of your life because of the politics in the jail. So I don't know how it is out there in Texas, but in California, bro, if you hit the pins, level 4 yard, level 3 yard, bro, that's it, bro. Dog will be hitting a level 4 yard for sure. With them bodies, he's a trophy in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy.
This case is deceased.
24-year-old Tay-K has been sentenced to a total of 135 years in Texas State Prison. His sentencing will be run concurrent, meaning his 55-year sentence has pretty much been overruled by his 80-year sentence. Under Texas law, he'll be eligible for parole in his 60s. Things have already been rough for him, judging by the scar on the side of his neck that appears to be a slash from a razor. While his crimes can't be...
Wait, that ain't a slash on his face right there? Is that a shadow? Because I might be tripping out. That looks like a slash too right there, but that one for sure, you got sliced, bro. They're politicking on it. They're trying to take him out.
Minimized, his life must be analyzed. Tay-K was born to 2 gangbanging parents, raised in and out of foster care, and became a product of his parental influence.
Right.
At only 16, far from mentally developed, he made choices that have essentially ended his ability to experience a life in freedom. He's been deemed a threat to society, and now knowing his childhood, it can be determined he really never had a chance to live peacefully in society. One can only hope he finds peace in prison, learns from his mistakes, asks forgiveness from his victims' families, and lives long enough to make parole. This is the reality of being a crash out, and he
100%.
is a living example of what any teen could be if you're following down a similar path. Now
it's crazy, bro. Before he starts talking and all that, I want to say I gotta put the blame. If you want to really point fingers at someone, you gotta point the fingers at the government, because you got the state poverty, bro. His mother and father grew up in poverty, basically. You know what I'm saying? They had to resort to streets to the streets, to doing whatever it is that they did, any narcotics that they took, bro. They had to resort to that, getting locked up because none of them could make money quick enough, bro. The grants, the government, none of that was really there. You know what I'm saying? Especially back then, where the government scam was at its all-time high and the hush-hush. Telling you, bro, I blame the government for this one. I ain't gonna lie, because at the end of the day, us as civilians, bro, we're under their care, right? We live by their rules. And when the rules don't apply to us or not apply to us, but the rule, when we can't really follow the rules, or the game was set up to work against us, to keep us down low and not really progress, you'll get, you know what I'm saying? You'll get people like this coming out the trenches, coming out the woodworks, bro, because everyone's just trying to make it at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. But let's continue on. See
if you're following down a similar path. Now, as sad as Tay-K's case is, it's even sadder what happened to Sarah, Zach, Ethan, Mark. You know what I mean? And when you hear what happened to them, you really lose any sympathy for him. This was a 16-year-old who was doomed from the start, that grew up to two gangbanging parents that didn't do shit for him, didn't provide anything for him
at all.
And then, you know, they tried to get their shit together. They tried to, you know, testify on his behalf, and
that was too late. It's
done nothing for him. Yeah. He was failed by his parents 100%, and then he also failed himself. And
the government failed him too, bro, because the whole segregation, that's one topic a lot of people don't want to talk about, because they have 100% control of where grants and money and certain programs can be, you know what I'm saying? Because why are they giving a lot of grants and money and program to, like, let's say certain programs that really ain't gonna benefit us, like gender studies or whatever, you know what I'm saying? The whole, with the children being able to transition early. If they could provide money for that, funding for that, why can't they provide money and funding for kids to stay out the streets and actually try to, like, do something and be something in life, instead of having to rely on two failed parents that they got failed by society as well, you know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion, bro.
He's only 24 years old, and he has all this time. 55 years in one case, 80 years in another case. He's not even 25.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll be honest with you, I'd be surprised if he doesn't, you know, not a lot of people can sit there and do all that time and live a life knowing that there's not much to look forward to. Prison is a repetitive place where the same thing happens every single day. You're only gonna want to do so many seasons of that shit before you just give up on everything. There's no happiness. There's no woman by your side with a marriage. There's no, you know, like, yeah, you could do the whole writing letters and shit, but that ain't life. We aren't meant to be in prison.
That's what I'm saying.
He makes it to his parole date, then what? He's 60-something years old. The only thing that Tay-K can do for people is be an example of what not to be, and be an example of what's to come if you're living like him. You want to go viral and post guns and show your wanted picture and this and that, and be involved with fucking retarded people that do stupid shit that eventually leads to someone's death, then you end up like that. Or his friends that are doing 40 years, 20 years, 15 years, all of them got smoked. Every single person associated with him got smoked. All of them are in prison doing mad time, even the girls that set up the robbery. So it's like, as sad as it is to say, there are people put on this earth that you have to use as examples as what not to be. And Tay-K is one of them. I don't want to paint him as a monster, which is why I wanted to break down his childhood and the things that have caused him to be the way that he is, and maybe he is no longer that way inside of prison. But by the time you end up in there with having to do forever,
it's too late.
You really got to be that person in there, because now you're in the most violent society. That's why you've been excluded from this one. the free one. But
Yo, that's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. Gang, if y'all watch to the end, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. With that, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go.